back down here, probably first of next week.
We didn't do it.
It also gives you
You can just text us.
Yeah, we need to do a different perspective.
She said we're changing the speed limits on several roads now. I don't think, other than yeah, now I think they put something on.
But you put the microphone underneath it and it's fine. It doesn't muffle the sound. So they, and the hard thing about these is when you move your jaw, it pulls it on your nose. But the way it does the sound, I can drop my jaw all the way and it's not gonna change the mask. So they're designed for safety. Look into at overlay mode.
Whenever you get started,
Click on it, it doesn't correct it now, but it has. And that next weekend, they went blind. Second weekend, I would,
All right.
if you can, go
I'd like
back.
to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge and invocation.
Let us pray. Lord God in heaven above, we thank you for this fine, pleasant Ocean Springs day. We're especially thankful for all who helped the city of Ocean Springs recover from the devastation, the destruction of Hurricane Zeta. Father, the people among us who have contracted COVID, we ask that you be with them. We pray for them, and we especially pray for the families of people who have died because of this disease. Father, may this nation find a cure, an immunization for the COVID. As we go about the business of the city of Ocean Springs tonight, allow us the wisdom, the ability to make the right decisions for all our citizens. God bless us all. For all these things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Blackman, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have some public hearings to start off with. I'm actually going to start off with item B. There are a few different items here tonight that Rob Blackman has to recuse himself on, so in the interest of consistency, I'm going to go ahead and move B to the front, so he'll leave the room for item A. So we'll get started with 910 Calhoun Avenue. Carolyn?
Okay, this is, it's a HPC application. It did have its public hearing with the HPC.
Go ahead.
On,
Say, don't we need to go to public hearing?
I mean, we could hear this first, but
okay, well, I mean, as described in your packet, the public hearing was held Thursday at HPC, and the request is for an addition to the rear of the existing dwelling on Calhoun. After discussion, the HPC made the motion to recommend, and it passed unanimously, so everything was there for you, for your review.
what?
Make a motion to go into public hearing on item B, 910 Calhoun Avenue. Request approval of certificate of appropriateness for an addition.
All right, motion by Mr. Ampe, second by Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody who would like to speak either in favor or against item B, you can come to the podium now. All right, seeing none. Is there a motion to come out of public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ampe, second by Mr. Altman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, any discussion on that?
Make a motion to approve the HPC recommendation for 910 Calhoun Avenue.
Right, motion by Mr. Ampe, seconded by Mr. Blackman.
Ms. Black.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Rob, you need to make the record show Alderman Rob Blackman is recusing himself. And we'll get started. Item A. Carol?
Well, do you want to go into public
Yeah.
hearing?
we'll go into public.
Motion to go into public hearings for item A, Oak Bluff Development Subdivision.
All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second Mr. Hoffman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and there are actually a couple of items related to the subdivision, but this specific one is all the elements required for sketch and preliminary plat approval. The other ones are kind of in separate lanes. But what you have is a small subdivision, so they opted to do sketch and preliminary at the same time, which is allowed under code. It's the property on Porter that actually is, has frontage on three sides, Porter, Cleveland, and Howard. So it is unique in that respect that it does have road frontage on both the north and the south, not just on Porter. The subdivision is a 6-lot small subdivision with a private one-way drive that runs north-south from Howard to Cleveland. And there were 3 elements in their proposal that needed exceptions, which is different from a variance in the fact that it didn't meet the qualifications required to be considered as a variance, so they had to ask for exceptions. Those 3 things are listed in your memo. And if you scroll down a little, keep going till we get to the page. Keep going. I think it's probably on the next, keep going. It's the picture of the subdivision. There, okay. One down one more, please. Okay. As you can see, the private drive, which runs up behind the houses, is proposed, they had proposed it to be 12.5 feet wide, which the minimum requirement for a one-way private drive is 15. They also wanted to make both the private drive and the driveways that branch off of it to the individual homes in gravel. So essentially there were 3 exceptions. The width of the private drive, the gravel for the private drive, and the gravel for the individual driveways. During the Planning Commission meeting, they considered everything. They denied the exception of the 12.5-foot width. Subsequent to that meeting, we worked with the developer, and they have agreed to make that 15 feet and make it compliant. So that one is no longer required or an issue for an exception. The second one listed on your memo is the use of gravel for the private alley. And this is the one that the applicant has requested that he specifically appeal to you to ask you to support use of gravel in the private drive. The third one is the gravel for the individual driveways, which they did approve. So of the 3 exceptions that came up during the Planning Commission meeting, the only one that really needs a determination is the material of the private drive. There were also 2 conditions that were made in their motion, and both of those have been met. Both the state letters from Department of Health and DEQ have been received, as well as the landscape plan. So he was able to meet those conditions prior to this meeting. So all that being said, they recommended approval, with the only outstanding item that needs determination from you would be the material of the private drive.
I just have one question. I'm totally fine with the gravel for the private drive, but is there gonna be an apron?
Yes.
Where it attaches to the road?
Yeah, it's difficult to see in but you see the box that's kind of on either end. There would be a required 10-foot apron on either side, and they have also indicated that they would.
Curbing it too, right?
Yeah, and they're gonna curb it as well, so it should hold the gravel inside the private drive.
Hey, you good with it?
I like it better for drainage and,
I mean, that's a factor, so.
Well, I'll make the motion.
Well, we
Public
got
hearing.
to go to
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then also, Kenny is here if you have any questions, and Brett can, that's it.
Okay. I mean, as long as Kenny, it's gonna be curved, apron.
Right, ribbon curve down both sides, all the way down with the 10-foot concrete aprons at each end, going on Howard and Cleveland. It helps to save, there's oak trees there we're trying to work around.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You know, it certainly helps to save that. It helps stormwater runoff, you know, an impervious surface as opposed to an impervious surface. You know, some of the neighbors were actually here last week, and they support the gravel over the asphalt or for concrete as well. It's just a little more, a warmer look. So,
If there's anyone who would like to speak either in favor or against, you may come to the podium now. All right. Seeing none, is there a motion to come out of public hearing?
So move.
Motion, Mr. Gill, second, Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, gentlemen. Is there a motion to approve this?
I make the motion that we approve the use of gravel for the private alley.
Second.
Well,
It's actually to approve the sketch of preliminary plat with the exception being approved. Nicole might have better words, but
Right, I mean, you just, in this situation, you're approving the sketch plat and preliminary plat, and then you're also approving the exception for the gravel, drive that goes through the middle.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pena, was that Mr. Gill? Second by Mr. Gill. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
if you want to do the other one, the other, I mean, just while Rob's out of the room.
Yeah, well, we got agenda public comment.
Okay.
So this is a fairly new addition to the agenda. It's agenda public comment. So we do have general public comment towards the end for any and everything that you would like to discuss. This next one is agenda public comment. He's recused himself. He's got it. He can come back to this, but it's not really what that can do. So this portion is if you have anything to say, any comments or questions about any of the items on new business, old business, consent agenda, anything, this is the place for that. If you have anything, you can come to the podium now.
Excuse me for asking this question, but I would like to address you on this 1312 Government Street. Item D on the
Can
new
you come to
business.
the, sir, can you come to the podium?
Certainly, sorry.
And say who?
Yeah.
And just state your name and either your address or ward for the record, please.
My name's Darrell Dryden. I live over on Bowen Avenue, and I would like to address this body whenever it's appropriate, and it might not be tonight, with respect to the 1312 Government Street zoning, and some other matters related to that. But I think this is for preliminary plat approval. I just don't want it to be too late.
This is the time. Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
All right, I'll make it as fast as I can. The restaurant that they have proposed on a lot that's right at a fifth of an acre, and I live on 0.19 acres. This is 0.21 acres, and my neighbor Tammy, whose house will be directly east of mine and whose lot line will match the planned barbecue restaurant. And I understand commerce, I understand residential, I understand revenue, I understand that large cities, in many cases, don't have side setbacks and build up because land's too expensive. That is a tiny piece of property for a two-story restaurant, in my opinion. My lot lines match up with the blue two-story building. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. But when they built that, we had to have a very large and obvious drainage problem once that building got built. And it's not anything they did, just that permeation just disappears at some point the more you build. And the only couple of other points very quickly. If a building like this is approved, it should be kept in mind that this is a commercial building for commercial users, and you should discount kind of what type of building is going in there, because many restaurants don't make it. And I certainly hope they do if they build there, but many don't. And for old people like me, I can go up and down Government Street and Washington Avenue and kind of spot what's been there forever, like the Tevin Hut, for example. And Henry Ferd, I read his letter, and this is his arena a lot more than mine. I don't claim to have any special knowledge of any of this, but one of the things he mentioned was that we're good with parking. And go drive up Government Street some night, Thursday between 7 and 9, or Saturday morning, or any time.
Yes, sir.
And let me mention to y'all too, I should have started off with this. Y'all done a really good job with kind of incrementally developing Ocean Springs to the point that we have tourism revenue. And you really have. You did a real good job, and Public Works did too, with the hurricane. So I'm not down here complaining about city government. I don't know the developer or the business. I don't know any of these, but my neighbor Tammy and I are just concerned about the idea that they're pushing forward. And I understand.
Your 3 minutes allotted time is up.
Okay.
But yeah, I do understand, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anybody has any other items, any comments, or any items on the agenda?
Okay, could you cover everything?
On to the,
Excuse me, I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
I'm Tammy Dale. I live behind 1312. I'm concerned with a few things, drainage. Also, isn't there an easement where they should have to move stuff off the property line? Their proposal is to have parking that is right up to my property line. And I'm residential. I mean, I'm not trying to, I love the growth of Ocean Springs and all that, but I'm just concerned on our easements
Yes, ma'am.
and drainage. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this, I'm sorry,
Yes.
forgive me for making a say, is this about
come to the-
the murky waters or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I can read something, Jackie Wagner's not here. She's we're tenants in the apartments. I'm Gina Escher, I live at 1306 Government Street. And so Jackie, this is from her. Good evening, my name is Jackie Wagner. I live at 1306 Government Street, just west of the proposed building site. Let me apologize for not being here this evening, but my uncle passed away today and I'm spending time with my family. I've lived in Ocean Springs for over 2 years and have had a small business here for 9. I've also tried to follow the rules and regulations set forth by the city administrators, and my hope is that everyone else would do so as well. I understand that being a small business owner comes with many challenges, and I do appreciate and admire the business that Murphy Waters has brought to Ocean Springs. My only request would be that as they continue to grow, they also respect the surrounding neighbors. I'm sorry, waiting for my car. Okay, sorry. I'm not dying, I'm just out of breath. My only request would be that as they continue to grow, they also respect the surrounding neighbors while planning the new building site. I would appreciate you the elected aldermen of the city to please uphold the ordinances that are currently in place, and please protect myself and my neighbors from any changes that will affect the quality of our living space. Please read this for me, I can't be there, okay, sorry. And then the other questions that she had, and I as well. So if the ordinance is passed, and we had asked last week about building the fence to prevent patrons that may or may not be drinking or whatever from being in our backyard, and they agreed to do so. How is that gonna be enforced? So they build their building and everything's said and done, and what if they just decide not to? How do we know that they will indeed can do that? And you know, what is the timeline? So who will be responsible for making sure they follow through, and what is the timeline they have to do the fence? Also, if they pass the parking spaces to allow them to only have 6 employee parking areas and 1 handicapped, then how will they stop customers from parking in the employee parking lot spots or attempting to park behind the building all throughout the day? So what we're thinking of is there's 12 feet, I believe, instead of 24 is what they want. So that's 1 car coming in, getting back there, realizing there's no parking, having to back out, or whatever, another car coming in, it's just a very small space. And so we love Murky Waters, we support it, we support small businesses, but we just want to protect and feel safe in our backyard. It's basically our backyard. It's a very small space, so, you know, she lives behind it. You know, we want to be safe.
Absolutely.
So it's a safety issue. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, if there's anybody like to speak on any other agenda item, you can come to the podium now. All right, we'll move to new business. Like I said, Rob has to recuse himself for items C and D, so I'd like to go ahead and address those now. So we'll go with, start with item C, appeal zoning and adjustments board denial. Carolyn?
Okay. This is one of the other 2 elements that was a separate approval on the subdivision. So what we have is, and if you can scroll down to the layout again, lot number 1, which is the northernmost, keep going. The northernmost one on that, as you see there, the way to fit them in, especially with the road configuration, it does extend over the setback 1.5 feet. So with everything else, as long as everything else was approved and allowed, when this house is built, they asked for a variance, a 15% variance, which they're eligible for consideration up to 25% per ZAB. But they asked for 15% to allow that home to extend over the setback once constructed. But the, as it went through ZAB, the ZAB was not comfortable approving it at that time, and so they denied it, and the applicant would like to appeal that denial to you for consideration.
And that is just one side of one?
One side of one house.
Okay.
Split in half.
And this one does not require a public hearing?
No, it's just an appeal. It
Okay.
normally ZAB would have gone on to consent if it had been approved, but since it was denied and appealed, it's coming to you under new business.
Any discussion?
And, yeah, and we have the engineer here and the applicant here if you have any questions on this one.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that because that Howard is right there, it's actually 21 feet, so even with our building being 1.5 feet over, we're 21 feet off of the pavement of the road. So we've got the right of way with a ditch, and then we've also got, the developer's gonna put in a landscape buffer along Howard there as well. So it's 21 feet from the road as opposed to 22.5 feet from the road.
And that's mostly because of the large ditch that's
Right.
there, yeah.
Right. And we can't get the houses any closer together because fire code says we're less than 10 feet, and we've got a fire rate, everything, so we're 10 feet between the houses, and we started on the Cleveland Avenue setback and then worked our way north, and that's just where it put us a foot and a half over.
15%, so yeah, that's very reasonably allowed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Make a motion that we approve the request for the 15% variance of the side yard setbacks requirement for lot 1, parcel ID 613300006.000.
All right, motion by Mr. Hodgson, second by Mr. Bellman. Any further discussion on that? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then we'll go to item B, appeal zoning adjustments board for 1312 Governor Street. Carolyn?
Okay. And this is the one that the residents here had spoken about. So this is a new Murphy Waters restaurant going in. It's a small, very narrow, undersized vacant lot. They're just to the, on the west side of the Craft Advisory brewery, the old Chestnut. So there were normally this project goes through design review. Which is a more of an internal process, but there were these 3 items that they did not allow staff approval as they were not allowed in the UDC under code, so they are appealing these 3 items to you as exceptions. The first one is the number of parking spaces, which is based on the zoning and the size and the use. There would be a requirement of 15 parking spaces, and the proposed 6 parking spaces is less than, it's beyond what a variance could be considered for, so it's an exception. The second one is, and if you could scroll down to the site plan of it, it'll be a little bit easier. Oh, and also, maybe
Carol, I've got a really.
is this the new one? You've got electronic ones
Yeah,
that
we
are
got
easier?
electronic if it's
Okay,
easier.
I'll pass this out, but if you, here, is that on, it's on a flash drive? Some modifications were made to the, so that is no longer the correct site plan. It has been modified since these meetings. I will pass this out and they can put it up on board.
We'll pass it
Yeah, Ken, if you just get one. So the second exception that they are asking for is a reduction in the required width of the drive aisle. A minimum requirement for a drive aisle is 24 foot, and that allows safe 2-way traffic. They have proposed a 12-foot drive aisle, which would only allow 1-way traffic, and even if it were a drive aisle, the minimum requirement for a 1-way drive aisle would be 15 feet. So they've asked for a 12-foot, again, that exceeds the ability to grant a variance. They've asked for 12 when it's typically required is 24. The third element that they've asked for is the dumpster location. Because this does abut residential property, the setback for that dumpster is supposed to be 50 feet. And they have it located, as you can see from the diagram, very close to the property line in the southeast corner of the property. So those were the 3 things that did not, that staff could not approve under UDC, and they have to go to ZAB to ask for exceptions for those. And during the course of the meeting, ZAB considered all of the information, and if you see on the second page of your memo, essentially I have to use the word appeal twice. This was to appeal the planning staff's denial of these elements. So they are appealing this to the zoning adjustment board. So it says the motion to recommend approval of the appeal, that's the appeal against staff's determination under the code. So ZAB recommended approval of the reduction in parking spaces, and they also approved the location of the dumpster as indicated on the plans. However, they denied the appeal for the reduction in the drive aisle width to 12 feet.
Reduction of what?
The drive aisle, the access road that goes down the side. And yeah, this is a much clearer picture, but that's really the void that you see on the right side, the drive aisle that goes down. That, the requirement for that is 24 feet, and they have it at this point as 5 feet. I mean, excuse me, 5 foot setback and a 12-foot drive aisle. So that is the one thing that ZAB was not comfortable in approving. And, but it did change the parking, some of the parking that had been determined for there was not an ADA, and it does have parking back there, but however, with a 12-foot drive aisle, it does not allow for two-way, and it would not be conducive to customer parking for that reason. And that's why they, those were the reasons. Wade, correct me if I'm leaving anything out, but that was primarily the reason for not being comfortable with that, is it does not allow customers to safely park in the rear of the building with no other parking being provided for them. So, but you have the option, those were the recommendations, but we would need a determination on each one from you.
Carol, I'm sure it's here, how many parking spaces does this require? I know they've got 6.
15 is the requirement.
15, okay.
Based on zoning and use. Like I said, right now, the way it's configured, none of those would really be accessible for, conducive for customer parking.
This would mainly be for
It would have to be for employees because of
employee
the,
parking.
and then the
I
question
think that's what
is.
they said they were gonna do, right?
Yeah, and this hasn't really been addressed, but, and so, I don't know, Brad, if you can address it for him, but essentially, if it is employee, it would have to be signed and prevent the scenario that she was talking about, of people wandering back there thinking that they can park. If it's one way, it's not that they couldn't physically park back there, but it would be, you'd have too many conflicts, whereas employees, shift work, they usually come and go at the same time. So we don't usually mind that for employee parking, but that's all of their parking was the concern.
What about the handicap in the back?
So, and that's,
So there will be signage posted out front that it's employee parking only and handicap parking, and so, you know, if there's, I mean, right now, Murky Waters has no handicap parking, as a lot of places in downtown don't. So it's one of those things where if a handicap, customer needs to park there, they'll probably come in the first time and ask, where that's at, and Brandon or somebody, his staff will come out and help them park. I don't want to go through everything that went through ZAB, but just to, you guys already know this, but, health department, DEQ, I mean, there's all kinds of requirements on drainage containment, and we've got to do pre and post-stormwater treatment, which we'll do. And that's a calculation, it's not a guess. I mean, we calculate that, we design for it. There's underground drainage that's going in this parking lot, it's all going out to underground drainage on Government Street, so drainage is going to be addressed. We also, to the parking concern, UDC encourages, actually requires parking in the rear. So this property will be developed at some point, and parking is going to be in the rear, and it's going to abut, residential property, because there's residential property that abuts commercial property, so that's just going to happen. The developers have agreed to put a fence up in the rear of the property and going down the west side of the property, as well as we're adding a landscape buffer. You can see on this new plan, we're going to do a landscape buffer on the south of the property, which would abut the neighboring property there to provide some additional protection there. So essentially, what we're asking for today that staff did not approve was the 12.5-foot drive aisle. It's going to be marked for employee only, so that we don't have people just wandering in there. The question came about reserved parking, but as we pointed out at ZAB, there's plenty of reserved parking, actually fenced off parking for employees or patrons only in downtown. And so the precedent has already been set there. It's private property, of course they can do what they want, but that precedent is already set in downtown. So, we've got parking that was approved in the rear, and it's this 7 spaces that currently are not available in downtown, so this is an addition to downtown parking problem. Currently, all Murky Water staff is parking wherever they can find parking. Now, we're going to park them on the property behind the building, so this does free up parking. It's a net addition to downtown parking. So we got the parking approved, but the 12.5-foot drive was not approved. And as you can see, this building is right on the setbacks on both property lines, and it's already narrow, it's already 2-story, which is not ideal for any business, I don't think, to have a 2-story business. It costs more to build. Some people won't go because it's 2 stories, but they understand that this is a unique line. And if you want to see just Can we look on that file, and there's a drawing in there called renderings, I think, and you can see kind of what it's gonna look like. So that's it, that's the building. You know, we're super excited about it. I think it's gonna be a great addition to downtown. And, you know, this developer's trying to do everything that they can to respect the codes and the ordinances and respect the neighbors. And so we're just asking for a little bit of help on that drive out going down there to get to the parking.
Now, on the other side of the building, it's at a 5-foot setback. Is that the requirement, or is there any variance allowed there to,
On the west side,
yeah, where we've got a 5-foot setback?
that's the required setback. We've also got a sidewalk that's going down that side for the ADA route from the handicap parking. And there's utilities, buried utilities over there right now, so we're having to avoid those as best we can. So even if we ask for a variance to cheat that over, we talked to the power company and to AT&T who have lines run down there, and they don't want to move them. And so we're right up against those as it is.
There's no way to build a building that would fit the lot, or it has to be a certain size, or?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, this is like a 60-foot wide lot. It just happens to be one of those odd, you know, lots in downtown. And this building is already about as rectangular as you can get. I mean, we've been, you know, we've been very creative in trying to design this to fit the lot as best it possibly can. And with the UDC or encouraging, or really requiring parking in the rear, I don't know how you would do anything any different in
The
order.
only way to do it would be make it smaller, to fit smaller in that spot.
Right, and so
gives you
it's-
more room all over.
So that building is about a 2,500 square foot footprint. And then it's 2 stories, so it's about 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So 2,500 square feet is already pretty small. I just,
Downtown, you're not gonna find huge lots. They're all little.
That's right.
So somewhere in there, you have to start adjusting to fit the lot, you know. And if it doesn't fit, you can't get all these variances and extra spaces. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
yeah, I don't either. I mean, to be honest, I mean, this lot, it's been sitting there for a while, as you well know, and it's one of the only undeveloped downtown lots that we've got left. And, you know, any business is gonna face these same challenges. So if it's not us sitting here asking for these variances today, it's gonna be somebody else. There's just, on a 60-foot wide lot, when you've gotta get parking in the rear, if you've got 5-foot setback on both sides, now you're a 50-foot lot, and UDC requires a 24-foot wide drive, so now I'm at 50 feet minus 24, you wind up with a building that just,
Well, that's
doesn't
what I mean.
fit.
You're not gonna find big lots. Everybody's gonna have to start adjusting, because downtown is the main place where they wanna put stuff. But if you go look at a lot of lots, they're too small for the little houses they got on them now. And then when you try and put something else there, they're just not gonna fit.
Well, that's what we also have to remember all of this when we're drafting, you know, our UDC.
Yeah, I mean, there's no lie about it. I mean, our downtown doesn't have any parking. I mean, we almost feel it an ordinance that's not even realistic. I have several business owners that are getting ready to trying to figure out the same issues on Washington. Got another investor that just bought a property on Government Street on a contract that's gonna be coming. And them putting some parking behind their building is really more than what probably half the businesses have, you know, in the downtown. I kinda hate that it's coming to us as an appeal, because this really shouldn't be an appeal. This should be really a no-brainer that we don't have any parking in the downtown. And I'd like to try and get maybe a committee together to try and do something to work on that ordinance, because it shouldn't be an appeal all the time for this stuff. I
We've
mean,
got the study that's gonna be starting, and I hope as soon as I get the contract approved by MDOT, and that's what we'll be looking at, is how, that'll be one of the things I've tasked them to look at.
The thing is, I don't know if we have the time for that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense, but, you know, all these business owners that own all these properties, I mean, that's an interest note that they're paying that they have to figure out what they're gonna do with it, you know?
This is a classic example of Ocean Springs having growing pains. You know, I mean, our downtown, if you were to take all of these businesses downtown that are grandfathered in and try to build them according to our current code, you can't do it.
And the thing is, you know, I like the building being always at the front. If I was living behind the building, I wouldn't want that building towering over my backyard. I'd rather it as far forward as it could be, you know. What size fence are y'all talking about? 6 or 8?
I mean, we really haven't picked a size yet. I mean, 6 is kind of standard, but I mean, if it needs to be 8, I mean, you know, talk to Brandon, and we're not gonna lose a deal over, you know, 60 feet of fence. So to go from a 6-foot fence to an 8-foot fence is not gonna, you know, I mean, it's, you tell us, and you know, you ask how do you know it's gonna get done. I mean, because we're standing here on public record telling you that's what we're gonna do.
Can I ask a question? So on the west side where it says Murky Waters, from the building, how far over does it go before,
It's a 5-foot setback off that side.
so it's 5 feet? 'Cause so,
It'd be 10 between the blue building and this one.
Assuming that building is 5 feet off the property line, yes.
All right, so,
With the fence.
my question is,
Mr. Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Tanner, I assume you research it, I don't know, that 12-foot strip, can a garbage truck get in there to pick that dumpster?
Yes, sir. A lot of public roads only have an 11-foot drive lane.
Chief, I'll ask you, can a fire truck get back there if we have a fire?
We wouldn't go back there, to be quite honest with you. Number one, there's not gonna be any room to turn around. Second, tactically, there's no reason for us to go back there, as in most businesses in government. We work from the front.
I got you, okay.
And we met with the chief, and you know, we're going to sprinkle this building as is required, but it will be a fully sprinkled building, so we have met with the chief on that.
Man, I just like to make a comment. This, Carolyn's been around almost as much as I have, long.
They're qualified as.
Well, in comparison to the rest of the employees and y'all.
Yeah.
But Carol knows well as I do, you know, this issue's come up for the city, I mean, I don't know how many times, you know, parking. You know, until we get that garage downtown, it's gonna remain that way, you know? And if we'd have stopped developing because of a few parking spaces, we wouldn't develop. I mean, you know, you know, and then plus, you know, you got tax base, you know, gotta increase that tax base. And,
I think that's why they were okay with the parking, the number of parking spaces.
Yeah.
It was just the width and the configuration that they had.
well, yeah, that too. Yeah, the way there and then the dumpster,
Right.
but, you know, your size you're building down to accommodate, and then you can't make any money. You know, I mean, each table is worth so much, you know, so you got a dozen tables in there, you know, so, I would vote to approve it. I don't know who's gonna make the motion, who's for it, Ricky?
Brad, one other thing, I noticed on your plot plan, you had the dumpster was actually pulled further away from the rear setback than what's on here.
Yes, sir. We pulled it as far forward as we could get it.
And you actually put shrubs around
Yes, sir.
the back of that. Is there any way to continue those shrubs along that 8-foot fence also to kind of give a little?
So on that plan right there, if you can see, we're taking the shrubs as far to the west as we can until we run out of green space. I mean, the way the lot line runs is a little bit of an angle. It allows us a little bit of room there. So we're going to get in as many as we physically can get in, and we're going to take them as far west as we physically can go.
And then the corner behind the dumpster is going to be left,
Yeah, it's just green space.
just a buffer.
Yes, sir.
I mean, other than being able to put bushes behind next to the fence all the way across, I think that's about all we'll be able to get out of that. I appreciate you pulling that dumpster away from that fence, because I could not imagine what the neighbors would go through. We've already had to deal with that in other areas.
Sure.
I was just about to ask you until I saw this, if there's any way you could put it where the handicap spot was, because of the issues we've had with dumpsters
Right.
in the past. But since you pulled it away and putting the shrubs behind it, I think that's gonna help.
And it's gonna be an enclosed, a fully enclosed dumpster enclosure. It's not just gonna have a lean-to roof on it. It's gonna be enclosed.
And it came up about how to include the fence. If you all do, make the motions and approve these, and make it conditional, that would be, whenever you do approve a special condition, we provide that information to the building department, and it's attached to their building permit, so that's where it gets documented.
If we do that, though, can we agree on what height of a
Yep.
fence, or is that?
It could be up to 8,
8 feet.
it could be up to 8 feet by code.
It's gonna be the investor that's gonna have to, you know, I mean, the neighbors can request, and then I guess if it's good with the property owner, then, you know, we should go that route. So
And it can
that
be
way
up to
there's no-
8 feet
I
by
wouldn't
right
wanna
of
have any
way.
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I don't wanna speak for Brandon's here. I mean, are you good with
8 feet tall.
8 feet fine?
Folks, I'll tell you, this is a hard deal for us to do, and I appreciate the citizens that live behind this operation. And I appreciate y'all coming, and I can understand, I've been down the road on this situation personally too. But as Mr. Gill said, this town is growing, I don't know what we do. You know, we're placed in a very hard situation here. And I would love to just say, no, go somewhere else, but we can't, the way Ocean Springs is growing. And I know y'all have lived there. I know Mr. Dryden has lived there forever. No, not about your age, sir, but.
I'm about to say, we're all the same age, I guess.
Enough of that,
There's a lot of shade being thrown in there.
This is a tough deal. You know, I have mixed emotions about this, thinking of y'all as citizens and taxpayers forever. And we also have the opportunity for some growth in business, which is a tax base too. So, you know, I thank y'all for coming. I guess about all I can, thank you for coming and expressing your concerns. And we do need to do some homework with the UDC. Maybe it'll be clear.
We've been trying to figure out a way to tackle it, we just haven't found a successful way yet, but we'll keep at it.
That's all.
Well, and I just want to say one more thing about the dumpsters. You know, those dumpster pads have drains, and they also have hot water. And business owners are supposed to be doing that, and I'm sure y'all do. I don't get much complaint about your guys from there, but I do get some complaints from other restaurants that I have to talk to about it. Darryl knows, he goes and sees them. So I want the neighbors to know that if this were to be approved, that, you know, that y'all not gonna have a problem with a dumpster, because we'll make sure that they're doing that.
All right, so I can make a motion?
All right, I make a motion that we approve their appeal related to the required number of parking spaces and dumpster location and the 12-foot driveway at 1312 Government Street. Do I need to add anything else to that? Oh, yeah, and with the 8-foot fence on the back side of the property and coming up the west side.
All right, motion, Mr. Ockman, second by Mr. Bellman. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, since Rob recused himself, there's one more item that he has to we recuse for, and that's on under department reports, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way while Rob's recuses. What's related to the Oak Bluff? What's related to the Oak Bluff, so, under department reports, item D, community development and planning. Carolyn?
Yes, okay, this is the last one, and sorry we couldn't bundle it all together, but this is the way this one had to be approached. So yes, this is actually an appeal. This is kind of the same situation as the staff has to require a sidewalk along Porter for the UDC, so if the applicant does not want to do it, they have to appeal it to you all. So that's why we're here today. So looking at that item, and if you can think, while Megan goes back to that the Oak Bluff subdivision, it's just, you can go back to the last one that you were on with them, with the preliminary plat. But, the sidewalk along Porter is what they're asking what they're appealing on. Actually, all street frontages along Howard and Cleveland and Porter, those are required by UDC for any new subdivision. So they are asking to not, actually, if you go up to the preliminary plat one that's got the whole subdivision, maybe one, the item before this one. Actually, it's all, near the beginning of the agenda, the first one, the preliminary plat one that we.
Which
C. Or,
C?
no, A, it's public hearing 3A.
Like page one? Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So, stepping back, so now that we've addressed all the rest of the subdivision, this just applies to those street frontages and the requirement for a sidewalk. So as you can see in your memo, they're appealing the requirement for different reasons on different roads. Let's see if there's a better attachment here. Sorry, my brain is skipping around in too many ways. Okay, so as we discussed on the Howard frontage, where there is a very large ditch there, they want to maintain that ditch for one, so if we're working, that's the northern boundary, the northern frontage. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Which would be on Howard, you're talking about?
On how, well, all three is what they're appealing, because the UDC requires 6-foot sidewalks on all public street frontages as a general rule. So, there you go. So, down one more, because this one doesn't have the drive. Apologies. Okay. So, the northern boundary, which is Howard at the top, it has a large open ditch that they are not planning to pipe, and they would have to pipe it to put the sidewalk there. So that is their, and there are no sidewalks on Howard or Cleveland at this time.
They're planning to put the sidewalks where?
They don't want to put them. They would be required on Porter, Howard, and Cleveland for the UDC, for any new development. So, which is a standard rule, is good, because we want to encourage require the inclusion of sidewalks. So because of the uniqueness of this property and everything else that we've already talked about, they are appealing the requirement so that they don't need to put sidewalks, they don't want to put sidewalks on Porter, Howard, or Cleveland. So working the way around, if you think Howard has an open ditch, it would have to be piped to accommodate that, and that is not in the character of the neighborhood. It does not have sidewalks, and it's a drainage issue as well. Porter Avenue, same thing. It does have a very large ditch there, and it does have a sidewalk on the west side of Porter. And on Cleveland, it's kind of the same thing. I think, are they piping that side? Fred left. Are they piping that side, Wade? On Cleveland?
Their proposal is to leave the
Open ditches on both
drainage
sides.
swale.
Yes, on both Howard and Cleveland.
Correct.
Yes. So Howard and Cleveland, they don't want to do it because they want to leave the open swale, and they would have to pipe it to put a sidewalk. And Porter is similar situation. It is a rather large ditch, but there is also a pre-existing sidewalk on the other side of the street, which has connectivity to both the beach and all three towns. So for those reasons, they would like to appeal the requirement to have sidewalks. One of the conversations was, and we have discussed this with Nicole in concept, but they have agreed to put in some sort of legal mechanism that if, for some reason, especially because we are doing a study in the area, the city was to put in a sidewalk in the area or do changes that would allow the sidewalk along Porter, that there would be some sort of mechanism, whether it was bond, letter of credit, or other agreement, that within a certain time period, they would agree to put something like that in place.
Like what kind of time period?
Typically, those are for 3 years. Like in standard subdivisions, you have the warranty and letter of credit agreement periods. So that would be a standard precedent to use. I don't know if Nicole's had a chance to look into this.
What did we do for the stores that didn't want to put, that felt like putting the culverts and stuff in to do a sidewalk to nowhere?
Didn't require anything.
We didn't require the bond.
We didn't require the bond because it was not conceivable that it was ever going to happen. It was more of an NDOT issue than ours. And in that location, it's not conceivable that it's going to happen in the next well, while we're here. Porter Avenue may or may not be different, and that's where you all have to make that, kind of make that judgment of if the city does move towards putting a sidewalk that would make it more rational and reasonable to require one for them, they would be good to put, and I believe the standard language is twice the value of the estimated construction cost, whether it's an agreement or a letter of credit, and that's where we were gonna defer that to Nicole as far as what type of agreement needed to be put in place, but they are amenable to that.
Is everything to the west of that the Naomi property?
Everything to the west,
Of that property is Naomi, the Naomi
to,
property?
well, to the west is Porter and across the street.
Well, when I'm talking about, well, to your left.
Well, that's Porter, so
To
off
your right,
West
I mean, to
Street.
your right, like you
Oh.
go towards the gas station, all that is Naomi
Towards
property.
Oh, south,
Towards
yes.
the beach?
Right.
Towards the beach, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's all, it's undeveloped, it's like, I believe it's the,
Where the gas station
That
and
Naomi
everything
owns,
is.
they own all that property.
exact, yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
So not knowing what's gonna happen with that development right away, and then the properties to the north are all residential use, well, there's a dentist office but that's not Howard. So right now, there's no expectation that the city would prioritize a sidewalk there in and of itself, since there is one on the other side of the street. But if that were to change in the next, say, 3 years, then they would put up the money to complete the sidewalk themselves on their property. So that's one of the things that they said that they were agreeable to, but they didn't want to do it at this time. It is different from the storage max that you were referring to, because it's not on the highway, it doesn't have the service road, it doesn't have a lot of that was a humongous ditch in front of storage max that would have been extremely cost prohibitive. This would have cost to it, but not to the same degree.
That ditch on Porter is as big as the one by the storage.
But there's sufficient room where it hasn't been determined that they would have to pipe it. I'm not sure, Wade, if you can speak on that.
We don't think they've gotten to that.
They haven't gotten to that,
yet.
but it wouldn't require the same amount of drainage improvement.
I mean, my thought is, you've got a good sidewalk on the other side of the road, but are these gonna be intended to be like VRBOs to where people?
No, they're owner occupied, it's a subdivision.
I believe they have it in their covenants where they can.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I didn't see the covenants, but that's what I was told.
They are definitely not intended as short-term rentals.
Well, my thought was, when they leave, obviously, they're within walking distance of the beach, so they're gonna come out this end, go down, and why not, let's have a crosswalk across Porter to the other side where they can get to that sidewalk.
And that may be
Saying
something.
not-
But I would think the sidewalk on Cleveland would be nice, just for those folks coming out
Yeah.
and going across.
Yeah. Cleveland is more of a deeper ditch, whereas Howard is more of a swale,
If I
right?
was spending that much money, I would pipe both of them ditches and get both of them ugly ditches out of my development.
Ditches carry more water than that.
Easier to clean for sure.
Whole lot easier.
The neighbors were, as with some of the other things, they felt that having the sidewalks was, since they don't have one, they thought it would look odd, that was just their input. But let's see, this went to the planning commission, basically said they were okay with it under the condition that the city attorney found some agreement put in place for the purpose of a 3-year period to ensure that if this study that we're about to start, as soon as I can get MDOT to approve the contract, shows that we need to have a sidewalk there and a crosswalk or, other amenities, we would want to be able for them to come back within a reasonable period, which is typically 3 years, and construct it or provide the funds to construct it, so. Because that is kind of hanging out there, they didn't want to just say, no, you don't have to have them at all. We wanted to be able to hold them accountable for at least a 3-year period, if that's what the study shows needs to happen along for it.
So is that bond or what?
It could be a bond,
So what I looked into, I went to the code or our UDC, and you can waive it, the requirement of the sidewalk, either in whole, no sidewalk at all, or in part. And the different mechanisms, again, would be they'd have to post a bond for 2 times the cost of installation of the sidewalk. The other thing that we discussed during the planning commission meeting and the developer seemed to be open to was putting a contingency on the way they wrote their covenants for the HOA to pay for the sidewalk, because eventually the developer's not gonna be in charge anymore. you know, that they're gonna have an HOA that will be involved. So, you know, say within a certain time period, like the 3 years, that there's a contingency in there that says that if within this 3-year period, it becomes, because the reason you would waive this would be if installation of the sidewalk is either impractical to install or would serve no useful purpose. So that's the finding you have to make for you to waive it. And then at some point, if it becomes practical, or if it would serve a useful purpose, then that would be what triggers the covenants to then provide for the HOA to install the sidewalk.
And covenants are filed with the plat, so that would be on record with land records in the covenants.
So basically, it's the bond or the contingency on the covenants.
How much size pipe you would have to have in that ditch to pipe that
24.
for that long run?
36 probably.
36 on Cleveland, 24 on Howard. Maybe you might be able to get about 30.
36 on Cleveland?
That ditch is deep on that side.
On Porter, they haven't
Especially where it
determined,
goes to Porter is pretty deep.
we haven't determined that if on Porter they have enough there, because it is level for a while before, you know, before it falls, so we don't know if there's enough room to do it without piping or not.
I think Howard's pretty close to being piped all the way to that property line.
The front of these houses to the border.
Correct. Yeah, they have rear access driveways.
One would face Cleveland.
Yeah.
Of course, the one there in the corner would be Cleveland, yeah. The rest would face Porter.
There's no desire for the neighbors to visit each other.
Well, that was actually discussed as far as, you know, circulation and, you know, walking through it. And again, that is a consideration. So, and like I said, you can waive them in whole or in part, or not at all. But,
What do you think?
I think it's very unreasonable, really. Well, I mean, I guess they knew what the requirements were going in, so it's not that unreasonable. But a 36-inch pipe down Cleveland, to me, that'd be one expensive sidewalk.
Right.
So I would not.
All right, somebody make a motion.
Nicole, so how would this have to be worded for them as far as like, if, for my motion, if we approve the, to not construct the sidewalk right now, because it's not really feasible to do that, it would, and what kind of caveat would have to put on that to hold them to it?
So, problem becomes that each side of this has a different reasoning.
yeah.
So being that you're considering all 3 sides and you're waiving them apart, correct? Because you're gonna put the contingency on it of either the bond or the covenant?
Right.
Okay, so you would do a motion to approve the appeal of the developer to waive the requirement of a sidewalk in part due to it being impractical to install and it would serve no useful purpose, with the contingency and then whichever one you choose.
I guess we can go with the contingency of the, covenants.
Okay.
That would be better for the.
Right. With the contingency that the developer draft and file covenants for the HOA association. I know you get this later, right? On the recording, to draft the HOA to provide for
3 years, right? Is that what
Yeah,
we're doing?
that's good.
Right.
That's clear.
the installation of a sidewalk within a 3-year period? And is that of the development finishing?
Typically, yeah, the warranty usually starts with final plat, so I would say 3 years from final plat.
Okay, so
3 years on final plat.
within 3 years of final plat approval.
That's my motion.
All right, motion. Good job, Rick.
We'll sort it out.
Motion, Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, we'll sort it out later.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gill, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, somebody can make Rob vote. Rob?
He left.
Wake him up.
All right, so we'll go back to new business.
Maybe you wouldn't like to come
Figure you left.
Think of it this way, you got most of my stuff out of the way.
You're on like an hour.
All right.
Exactly.
Item A, under new business. This is really just housekeeping that needs to be done. Adopt resolution authorizing the following signers on the city accounts with the First National Banking Association.
So moved.
All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Who was that? Mr. Bill. Any discussion?
Policy bill.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll
Oh,
call.
okay.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right, item B. Authorize account user rights for the First National Bank Association City Depository for the city clerk, Patty Gaston, deputy city clerk, Vicky Huppy, city accountant, Kelly Riff, and city payroll technician, Jennifer Simmons.
So moved, man.
Section, Mr. Gill, second, Mr. Hoffman. Is this roll call as well?
No.
Aye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Old business, adopt resolution authorizing donation to YMCA for the use of the Ryan Youth Center.
So moved.
All right, motion by Mr. Cox.
Second.
Second, Mr. Indy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, discussion to authorize agreement with Cali Landfill, Waste Pro, Mississippi for hurricane debris disposal at a rate of $3 per cubic yard. Patty, you've been doing a really good job with all this, so let us know
Yeah, you
what
have.
this is.
This is just the new contract, since the contract with Applewhites was for $6, since we've had to rebuild their landfill. And so now we've had to move up to Tallies, and so since we're going further, we got them to agree to go back down to $3.
I'll make
It's
a
just the
motion
new
to
agreement.
authorize the agreement with Cali Landfill.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Hoffman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now consent agenda. Anybody have any items to pull from the consent?
May I make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Hold on.
On that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
We're gonna pull P. Yeah. Item P.
E?
P as in Paul. All.
Do I have to make a motion that, anybody got anything else to add? Approve the consent agenda, all except P.
All right, motion by Mr. Gill,
Second.
second by Mr. Impey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right.
We pulled P off just to clarify that the expenditures listed in that quote were an up to number, and that we feel very strongly that we can handle that for much less.
Right, there's a lump sum of 12,000, and the rest of it is everything that might be needed.
Right.
But until they can dive into it more, because this is the never-ending government street project.
Correct.
So there is some research that needs to be done to determine what, if any, of those things are needed. So
Right.
those would be
Basically,
approved as needed.
Right. Mike and I just wanted to pull that to put in the minutes that that is not a concrete amount that's
No.
fixing to be spent. That is just what could be unknowns and unforeseen circumstances.
And it would be based on the hourly rate for each task that is included in the contract.
And basically, we're working off of a working document already.
Right.
And we just have to make modifications and tweaks to those plans and specs to move forward.
But it's a rather old document done by others that aren't around anymore, so there's a lot of unknowns.
Are you saying this is something that's not budgeted?
It's not budgeted.
It is not.
Okay. So that's why I have it there that we just modify the budget accordingly. All that we know that we're gonna need is the 12,000. You know, I can work with Patty to wait and know exactly how much we're gonna need before we transfer. We'll charge it to that grant budget line item, but until we know exactly how much, you know, we'll do a budget modification at that time.
But this is a project that's been going on since way before most of our time on this board, and we want to see this thing.
Before my time,
go
and
to
I've
the end.
evidently been around a long
So
time.
would this be something that you guys would wanna take out of the same place where we took the additional cost on the monster
We'll-
ditch and
We'll
Aaron?
discuss that.
You'll give it to me when y'all spend more or
We'll
whatever?
figure it out, correct.
Yeah, it needs to be done.
Yeah, this project needs to go
It's,
away.
it's huge that we're to this point.
What is it,
Um,
MDOT's second
This
longest
is the
running?
second longest, and this was a couple of years ago that I was told that it's the second longest running snake bitten project, so.
It's probably surpassed the other one.
It probably has at this point, so there's very little left, and I think that we're on, it's taking us on to get on the right path.
All right.
So,
Motion, you got a motion?
I make a motion, Mike, you got anything
Yeah,
else?
no,
Make a motion, we approve item P.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Empey, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, department reports, I got a couple things real quick. I have, I put in front of you a rental agreement for the Distinguished Gentlemen of Ocean Springs. They're having an event this Saturday from noon to 5. It's gonna be a giveaway for, Thanksgiving giveaway for families in need. And I'm just asking to go ahead and waive the facility rental fee, $200. So I'd like to ask the motion to waive that.
Have they filled out other paperwork too,
Were we waiving the whole thing, or we had a certain amount?
I was just asking to waive the fee.
They would still pay the deposit.
They still pay the
Pay the deposit, make sure it's clean, but this is a giveaway, you know, doing something good for our community.
Yeah.
We thought it was only right.
Is it a 503C?
501.
I'm sorry, whatever letters we're looking for?
I would say yes. I would say yes.
I know it is. We can get the proper paperwork.
Yeah, we have to.
Well, we need to stay steady with that because that's what y'all have agreed to, and so we need to have that paperwork that backs that, so
I'll
it's
have
fair
it
to
tomorrow.
everybody.
I'll get it tomorrow, Matt.
Nicole, you're good with that?
Contingent upon it having 501c3 status.
Yeah, I was gonna say it needs to be contingent upon receiving the proper paperwork.
I'll make that motion.
I'll get on first thing when
Contingent upon.
Give it to Megan Brown, she's the one that's in charge.
I'll get you first thing
All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Bellman. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all. Also, I put a quote from, where is that, East Beach, regarding some flags, some holiday flags. So I want to just offer that up for discussion. The ones we've had for quite a while. And the holidays are upon us. And so we have an opportunity to go ahead and replace some of those flags. So I wanted to open this up for discussion, see if you wanted to go ahead. And we could bite it off a little bit at a time. And it'll have to be, what did she say, 95 total, 95?
I think she said there's 90 poles, and I think they said y'all could skip a pole, which you would need 45,
Yeah.
and they would buy 50, or you could do, I guess, 90 and have 5 extras. Either way, they wanted to have 5 extras. I sent you all an email a little earlier because they're also requesting that we spend $4,900 for the snow for the Mary C. And I feel like that with the COVID situation, we should not spend $4,900 on snow. I think that money would be better spent on these flags since they're not budgeted at this point.
Right.
That's just my
Did we
opinion.
get another quote on this, or we just got the one?
I'm not handling
This is the only, I asked Cynthia, East Beach made the last one, so they have the file and design, so I could get another quote.
For this amount of money, I think I'd like to see another quote, just to make sure we're.
Not wild about the design.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's not, I know what they're going for, but it's not an attractive flag, to be blunt.
It doesn't scream holidays.
It screams, but you know.
All good.
I'm sorry, I mean,
All right, I'll work on, see if we can get another quote, see if we can get another design possibly, and I'll bring that back at the next one.
So we'll need to decide on the Christmas also tonight, because
Yeah.
they're gonna need to know that. And so when she asked me that, I said, we did have $4,000 budgeted for Christmas. I said, I thought that we always paid for the lights and, you know, the sound person and whatever. And so I assumed she was gonna pay for that part. and she wanted us to pay for the snow. But, with COVID out there, I don't think we should encourage so many people to be over there up together. I think that's not gonna look good for us. So I don't know if she'll want us to pay for something else. So I don't know if you can use that money on the flags. That's my point to this
We may have
conversation.
to call a meeting to discuss the whole, all of
Yeah,
this, so.
I mean, we're definitely going forward with the parade, the Christmas parade.
Well, this
Tree
is the,
lighting.
yeah, this is the Santa Claus Mary C
And that's usually
situation.
it ends up at the Mary C, that's what this is all about.
Another parade does not, because y'all let them have the parade on Saturday and the Christmas Mary
No,
C
that's-
is on
that's a different
Thursday
parade.
night.
The parade with Santa Claus coming in
Oh,
to the Mary C, is that not the same function?
but no.
No.
Thursday night is Santa Claus at the Mary C, and the fire truck brings him in, the movie on the screen, yada, yada, yada.
Right, the golf cart parade is what I'm talking about.
Then there will be
We
a
haven't made
parade,
this.
I think, Bobby, maybe on Saturday, I'm not correct, but isn't there a parade on Saturday that, or
Toy
Sunday?
drive.
Sunday.
The toy drive, but
That's at 2 o'clock?
they're two different situations.
Yeah, I can call a meeting and get all this stuff ironed out and bring it to the next meeting, or call a special call if need be.
You're running out of time.
Running out of time.
I mean, we better have it tomorrow or the next day.
It's December 3rd is the tree lighting, so
Okay.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get it set. I'm pretty flexible Friday, so Megan, can you get with Cynthia and we'll get one set, either Thursday or Friday.
Kate, has anybody gotten with you on the Christmas tree lighting in the front of the Mary C? Have
Yes.
you been?
All I got was the date so far, so,
Okay.
yeah.
We met with Cynthia today.
Okay.
Just talking to get our end straight, us being you, we need to know exactly what to do.
Okay.
Okay, what else? City clerk, approve docket claims. Anybody have any items for the docket claims?
Make a motion to approve document claims. If
Second.
anybody has anything.
All right, motion by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Gill, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, discussion of Colonial States water line leak adjustments.
They hope this is the last big problem they have. We are still quite a bit ahead on what they've paid us and what we've paid out, so we're not spending any money for that situation out there. I had to refix some of the numbers I had done from last time, but I think we're still 9,000 ahead, even by letting them have the water, credit. Y'all saw this time a pipe had run through one of their old water things, costing them $4,000 to fix it. I don't know where we're at with, JCUA. I did reach out to see, I don't know how that project's going with them moving along. I did send something, I'll try to check on that again. You know, cause obviously those people still need more help than really what we have been able to give them, but we've been helping them. Cause, you know, we're not trying to make money, we're just providing water.
We knew their system was going to have issues
Right.
back before, so we're probably expecting quite a few more leaks in the future.
Well, my goal is that we not spend any money, at least if they're just dealing with their own cash flow, which is what's happening. Because we shouldn't, you know, we don't want to spend city money out on county profit, you know, something in
Right,
county.
so we're just adjusting
The way the water bill would go out at that price, because we didn't have to pay a lot for that water.
right, and
Right.
All right.
So we're, it said 47.25 to fix, but you're saying the amount of the credit is 42.15.
That's because the water bill bills it out at time and a half. So water going out of here bills it way more than what we were paying JCUA for it. So the credit looks huge.
No, I'm just saying the figures don't agree.
Oh, well, that could be possible too.
It says the copy, they provided copies of the repair bill, which costs $47.25 to fix.
Okay.
So, but we're not forgiving that, we're actually forgiving the water. Okay.
What happened was the water bill was, they went ahead and paid another $1,400, which is $300 more than they had been paying. It is, it's very complicated, and I'm just trying to keep the trail going. But they did pay $1,400 again, which in the beginning they were paying $1,100, but all these leaks, they're going ahead and giving us another $300 to build it up. But the numbers that we paid JCUA versus what they paid us, we're still probably 8,000 to 9,000 ahead.
so how long is this leak, I mean, they are getting on these leaks pronto.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
just-
yeah, you saw the repair bills, they just got an old system, you know what I'm saying, it is a mess. What would happen is if we actually had them pay that $5,700 water bill, before long, that 30,000 won't be there, and you'll have a whole new problem.
It's not a loss to us.
Right, that's it, right, it's not any loss, it's just numbers.
So you need a motion to,
I'll make the motion finding that Colonial Estates did not receive the benefit of the water and received a credit in the amount of $4,215.63.
second that motion.
All right, motion, Mr. Empey, second, Mr. Cox. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, Chief McCoy, you want to talk to us about the training towers? WCP training towers? Huh? WHP, I'm sorry.
So, talked to Nicole, it's more of like a discussion, if you will. Where we're at with this company that I pretty much based my whole budget on after getting prices for different types of facilities and structures. It's kind of the one that I settled on, and they're the only company that I have found anywhere that uses pre-engineered, manufactured modules, whereas every other company that I've looked at uses a Connex box, like a shipping container. And I really don't want to use them. I don't like them. And second, probably more importantly, the quotes that I've gotten, they're more expensive than what I've got here. This company right here is the only one that manufactures these modules. They're exclusive provider for the lining system that they use that goes in it. The lining system they use, it's the only one I've been able to find that's UL listed, and it has a decent warranty too, which is 15 years. I haven't been able to match that either on the thermal lining that goes inside. So I mean, there's a lot of things about this company and this, you know, this facility, this structure that I want to get from them. And what it comes down to is we go out for the bid process based on specs, or we can go the sole source route. I have talked to numerous people in the state level. Ms. Patty's talked to numerous people. And we're kind of where, from what we're being told from the state, it's up to y'all to make a determination or agree that they are a sole source provider. So that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to bring it up. You know, we're moving forward with what we can. Y'all seen the night on the agenda. We're going to transfer the pole barn that we got that's in the way of this training tower, transfer it to Public Works. We're going to take it down, and they can erect it on their lot over there.
So we have to prove somehow that they are the only company that does what he says. And I know he's looking to try to prove that, and the proof cannot come from the company itself. The proof does have to come from those sources, so we were trying to figure out how to do that, and the state said, and well, what they said was, the state auditor's office said, if you can't prove that, then you just go ahead and go to bid, and they will come in the lowest. He said, you can't even pick them over a company from California if the product, unless we can prove they're genuinely a sole source, which I think the chief can. I don't know if he's figured out exactly how to, but that was our process. Once we have any kind of proof, then you guys can find it as the sole source, and we're not even gonna have to go to bid. That's gonna take that process out.
So this, from what I'm reading, is a hot-depth galvanized structural steel modular building with this UL liner. So that wouldn't be hard to put out, not put out, but to research to say who else does this.
And that's
And
what-
if it's not there, it's not there. And I
Right.
think what Nicole, what you're saying is we can determine at that point, we can't find anything.
I wondered if a federal agency, Rob, if they have a patent or something. That was my theory too, is maybe they have the patent on this,
Well, it's
which
all-
would prove they're the sole source.
It's all brand new, it's all patent pending. This is
Okay.
from what I've read, and I did a little research online, this is a new approach to this type of training facility. It's a state of the art. You know, these guys gone a different way. Everybody else, like you said, they're using these containers, everybody else is just kinda.
They don't last any time.
No, they don't let,
They
I
often
mean,
rust away.
these have an extended warranty on them. I mean, this is a whole new approach by this company. The only thing I couldn't find, how long has this company been around? Are they relatively new or?
You know, I don't know. I did on their website now, they have some, they first got their start building structures, you know,
Right.
stick-built steel structures. And I know they've been doing that for a while, but this modular system that they're doing is relatively new. And it's their answer is competition to the Connex boxes, which they don't feel, you know, is a good product, I guess.
I don't either from what I've seen, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but from what I've seen, they just basically took the old, scrapped it, and came up with something that's brand new. Everything that they addressed here is patent pending. It's a brand new. It's a brand new approach to everything. So,
Hey, I haven't been able to help the chief any, and I'm sorry, I've told him
No,
I've been so busy, I haven't been able to
The
help.
problem is, you know, I don't know how, I can't call another company and say, hey, you know, is this company the sole source?
Right. They're gonna say, no, we can do, you know, we'll give you something that's not.
Everything I've read, I have found nothing like it. And I'm telling you, I've looked high and low.
Well, let me ask you, Chief, have they done this for other cities? Could we maybe get some letters, some recommendations from some other
That
cities?
doesn't prove sole source. I think.
They did state to me that LSU, University bought one of these models, they bought several of them, and they stated to me that they used it, they purchased it as a sole source under Louisiana state law, but that's different from us. Now, I talked to.
Maybe not as it refers to that definition though.
Right.
Maybe not.
Because I mean, the definition of sole source, I'm pretty sure would probably be the same in
Would
both
state
places.
to
Sole
state,
source is
right.
pretty standard, so we could maybe look into.
I would suggest, I mean, you're not here looking for anything tonight other than discussion. So I think at this point, what you do is get with Nicole and y'all figure out how to work something that states, hey, this is a sole source and this is where I would go.
I think maybe you guys saying patent pending would, you know, be that theory, you know?
Yeah,
They
I mean,
don't
makes
have
sense.
to patent, because I mean, if it's pending, they're still looking into.
Other companies could have it.
Other companies could have.
Now, I did speak with one guy at the Bureau of Buildings for the state of Mississippi. He told me, he acted like this was no big deal. He said all we needed to do, he said they do it all the time. And I've checked into it a little bit, and there is some statute, if you will, on it. But what they do is they advertise for 14 days, basically asking.
Can you do this product?
For any other contractors to state that a reason why this company is not the sole source provider. And then at the end of the 14-day advertisement, it's a done deal. So,
I don't know where we would have to put that. Obviously, there's not a bunch of these companies local, so I don't know what kind of advertising would need in place to meet that
yeah, it's
need.
on the state website too.
Yeah.
I read it.
And I haven't been able to help him any, so, you know, if he's.
There again, I think you and Nicole sit down and figure this out and let's move forward because this is something that we definitely have been waiting to do to get our fire rating lower.
But I think it holds him up on doing some of the other parts. He's trying to get everything ready, but I've kind of got him held up.
Well, I mean, you know, like I've got some quotes for concrete and stuff like that, but I can't really set nothing until I know exactly what I'm gonna put on it.
Well, there again, worst case, we put it out for bid with tight specs that this meets on.
I hope we don't have to.
That might be
That was
better.
just another process.
It'd be the December 1st meeting, be a good time to put on the agenda.
I hope so. I mean, I do. A lot of things come up with.
Yeah, you come up with something.
Right, yeah. I mean, if we'll look into it and work together on it. Hopefully we'll have enough put together to get it on the agenda, or at least on an agenda before the first December meeting.
But if you guys want to help us look, we sure appreciate the support, because we just
So
need the.
so he's the exclusive manufacturer and installer, so he doesn't sell those to any other contractors?
No, they basically, they pre-engineer them, manufacture them, they ship them down here and basically just put them together. We'll have our concrete and everything all ready for.
They send some people here to put them together?
Yeah, they send them down here and install.
Yeah, that's what's kind of neat. They control the process from manufacture to the day it goes operational.
You can take it apart anytime you need it.
And the way they're manufactured is, you can take the wall panels out and the structure will still stand. You can move things around, 2 years from now, if we want this door that's here, over here, we just swap out some panels. If we want it bigger, we can add some more modules, it's very, who turned me on to this product was the, state director for the fire academy. He's the one that told me to look into these. So that's who kind of got me looking at it.
So this also, the floor and ceiling areas removable, so you basically create a shaft?
The floor, well, that's the two things that we can't.
Okay.
It's the floor and ceiling, but, they can put in shafts, you can do all that.
Good job.
It's 2-story or how
It's
many?
gonna be three.
3-story?
It's gonna be 3 stories, and then, they'll be able to rappel from the top. And then the burn room sits out from the tower, if you will, ground floor. And then above that is like a sloped roof. They'll be able to, simulate working on a sloped roof, doing all different kinds of things.
It's gonna look a lot like the State Fire Academy.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a lot smaller. It's compact. We don't need anything huge, but it's gonna be really, really nice.
It's gonna be a public works, is that where you go?
No, no.
It's gonna be right behind the station.
No, that's-
Yeah, you ain't got no room in it.
All right,
amongst all the fuel and chemicals.
And then Stephen had a discussion real quick about, you wanted to close the bathrooms a little earlier.
Yes, gentlemen, I know y'all know it's getting dark. My custodials are stretched out, and just out of a bunch of safety precaution, respect out of the ladies, I would like to close the bathrooms at the parks at 5. It's getting dark then. I'm scared somebody's gonna walk out as they're walking in. It's just for the month of December. If you have any problems, I'd be glad to change it, but it's just more of a safety.
Well, that's gonna work at Martin Luther King, because they play basketball
At night.
at night. And we can't even accommodate what they're doing already, so I'm not for that there.
I'll be glad to close Martin Luther King personally, Little Children's Park, Dog Park. If we could just close those, I closed it right before the meeting, it's pitch dark.
Yeah.
And, but I don't mind doing that myself.
Speaking of dog park, I heard a couple complaints this week about people not picking up behind their dogs over there. It's bad, and they got holes.
Sure. A lot of them are using the dumpster. I dumped it last week personally, but I will go over there and
But
speak
they said there's
with
some
the-
holes too. I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
go there to look at it.
I'll walk over there and look at it personally.
What do y'all think?
Now, we do have the sand still over there, we could get to fill holes with.
I can get you some if you need it.
No, there's no sand over there.
No, not at Dog Park, but at Public Works.
Oh, yeah, I got a bunch of public works.
What do y'all think about the bathrooms?
Yeah, lock.
I'm fine with closing the others, but I think Martin Luther King when is the Fort Walpoff's opening back up? Is it-
Yeah, they started on today. It'll be at least a month. At least a
That
month.
was closed anyway.
All right. We can, we'll go ahead and close them, except we'll keep Martin Luther King open.
Okay,
for a
I'll
little
take
bit.
that.
When will Fort Law be ready?
It'll probably be at least a month.
Next month?
Yes, sir. It's a mess out there
Pretty
right
bad,
now.
huh?
Yes,
I
sir.
saw you working down there today.
The playground area, it's gonna be a total redo. It took up the surfacing and just carried it off. Just that alone is gonna be big.
I'm seeing a big black truck yet.
I'll keep you updated as much as possible.
That being said, Mindy and I met with Huffy and Elm and met with Allen and Elm. We are working on preliminary, not stuck in gold numbers for FEMA. They wanted numbers, and I sent you guys what I think the breeze at right before I came in here. And then they want numbers on protective measures. We're gonna work on that tomorrow. We're also gonna have ELF, which will be utilities, because we had a young, one of the workers, Matt was out some, so Eric Kordak did the paperwork for Public Works, and he did a absolutely fantastic job. I'm telling you, FEMA was absolutely shocked. He took all 57 lifts that went under, everyone tells everything from when the generator went on it to when it come off. I mean, his records were impeccable. FEMA was so impressed.
That's good to hear.
They were, and, so, we're working with them because what's happening right now, all of Allen's sewer stations are backed up on temporary. But we will have, and it's complicated because we also have the project, and those 7 are mixed up in some of this other.
12, well, we got
Yes.
12 in total.
So they're working on that, and then we'll try to get some numbers out tomorrow. If you are interested, we'll push them out. They're not concrete, they're the beginning numbers. What FEMA told us was in 15 days, they're needing these numbers to get the declarations. And so they're trying to get them from everywhere. They were very impressed with our, getting our stuff, the debris up. They seem pretty happy with our numbers. I sent them to y'all tonight. So overall, I think that Ocean Springs looks really good throughout this. I think we're real pleased. Alan thinks they'll be done Friday, I think, with debris.
Yeah, I think I'll get
So we're gonna try to keep on the paper trail. We'll have a big load to get that ready, but we're gonna try to get it approved and sent in as soon as possible.
All right, good deal. All right, we've got to come to general public comment. If there's anybody that would like to.
Mayor, what about Parks and Rec? We want to cover Mary C. under Parks and Rec.
That's not mine.
It is.
Coordinator
What was that, 12?
You can do it on all of them.
12?
Huh?
I didn't know that was.
No, we didn't.
Say, I'm getting wrong.
All right, general public comment, if there's anyone who would like to address the board for up to 3 minutes, you can step to the podium now.
Y'all have to excuse me because I have been in traction for old age. I've had 3 major back surgery. I sit here today and I listen and I'm very concerned. What is it, UDC, is that what?
Unified Development Code.
That you all are going back in and doing a lot of changes, and then companies are coming here, they're buying up property, they did not go back in and do their due diligence. Due diligence is very important when you buy property. You don't go back in, once you have bought the property, then you go back out, you get an engineer, and then it does not fit. The people were here that this property is backed up to 12 feet, 24 feet. That's a serious concern of a driveway. And get in and get out. And the chief said, I'm not even gonna consider putting a fire truck back there. That dog just won't hunt. I need you all to seriously consider the UDC, consider the people that went back in and said, hey, it won't fit. Companies are supposed to go back in and do their due diligence. That's very important when you're spending money. You can't come back in and ask for forgiveness after the fact. Having said that, there's still a concern of mine on Spanish Trail, Governor Street, out by subdivision I live in, Cambridge. Speeders in the morning, I'm out there at 5:30, and it's the Indianapolis 500 Speedway. And it's continually the Indianapolis 500 Speedway out there in the morning. They drive like the backside of hell. And I've even seen where a car's coming, following behind them, and then they're blowing on people's horns. We got a guy out there with a motorcycle, he definitely thinks that roadway belongs to him. And that's very dangerous out there because I walk out there. One of the most important things is that as leaders of this city, and as a taxpayer, we must go back in and do our due diligence in handling the situation very upfront and have everyone in mind when the decisions that are made. Not just because of money, because it goes back to what the Bible says. The love of money roots all evil. But the most important thing is that, hey, you can get a whole bunch of money, but that little building's trying to go up down there, and you get a fire down there, and all of a sudden somebody will lose their property because you can't get a fire truck down there because we're thinking about money, 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 money. Thanks for your opportunity.
Mr. James, were you talking about the speeding right in front of Canebrake, right there by the intersection, or?
It's back, coming back toward, the city.
Okay.
By
Chief, you put that
the,
speed-
Davis Bayou Bridge, coming back toward there. And, I've almost been, and I'm a big guy, almost blown off the sidewalk. And I hugged, I'm getting ready to tuck and roll because, I've seen people come down through there and they're playing with phones. And they ain't paying attention to what they're doing and driving. I'm ready to roll down in that bank because I'm thinking I'm gonna get hit one of those days. It's dangerous in the morning out there.
Can we get that trailer set out there, Chief, just to get a, I mean, I know that'll help slow people down, because when they see it, they automatically hit the brakes. But
You know, if we
at
can go
least to
back and
us
get that
a
sign
steady-
that they knocked down, they're still laying down on the
the
side.
speed limit sign.
Right. Thank you.
Take care of that.
Thanks, James. All right. Anyone else who would like to address the board for up to 3 minutes? All right, moving to Alderman's Forum, Mr. Gill.
Yeah, man, I've got one thing in my ward. I got a house on 104 Penny Circle. It's pretty dilapidated. We've been fighting that house since Hilliard was unemployed with the city. And Daryl's taking it over. And they'll watch it deteriorate more now, especially after the storm. So, I'm ready to move forward with the demolition of the house. Talked to Darryl before the meeting, and Darryl said that he agreed with me that we can start the process, and usually when that happens, the homeowner usually fixes it up.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been promising that she's gonna fix it up, but we have a file probably about that thick, nothing but promises, and so the neighbors are getting pretty upset with it. And the roofs, most of the roofs are on now, so. So now you wanna give the insurance board that's where we wanna go with it?
If y'all wanna start moving forward to having it demoed, we can move forward. I mean, they did lose the shingles, so if she don't do something now, she definitely will lose the house. This spare plywood.
So what would be the first move on that? I've done a few of these, but to make a motion and go forward.
What we did on Yellowstone is a motion was made and voted on to move forward in the demo process.
Okay, may I make a motion that 104 Penny Circle go forward with the demolition process?
Motion by Mr. Gill.
Second.
Second by Mr. Papania. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's all.
Oh, Carol, I really would like to try and get a committee together for looking at that, you know, I know I
Which,
was,
the parking?
yeah, I was on the UDC, you know, from the very beginning, we started all that, and I don't know how we got past all that, but, you know, downtown doesn't have any parking, and that one building that's getting ready to come up, and you know which one I'm talking about, they have 0 parking spots, and they've been operating forever. So I'd like to see a committee or something to looking at us doing something, because I don't know, even a wayfinding study, I'm not sure it's gonna prove.
Well, not the
anything more than we
wayfinding.
already know.
Not the wayfinding, that one's already nearing completion. The other one that, and I know the wheel turned very slowly, so it's been a minute since we talked about it, but we awarded it to Dale Partners to do a downtown traffic, travel, and parking study.
But that was to provide to Jackson for the BP money?
No,
Is that what the
no, this is
result
totally
on that?
separate. This is something that, you know, because of all, like you said, we've been discussing how to get our arms around this problem for years. We had an ordinance draft that didn't fly, so, you know, we've been trying different things. So this study, we've asked them to look at the entire downtown and Porter Avenue entertainment districts, plus all of the access points and the perimeter parking that's just outside of those bubbles, and to come up with suggestions for short and long-term improvements, which could be signage, striping, parking garages. So, but it's MDOT funded, so I'm still waiting on approval of their contract, but they're ready to get going as soon as we have that contract in place hopefully in the next 30 days.
Cause I know we have 2 or 3 more that's getting
Yeah.
ready to come up that
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
need,
have to.
we need to look at it for sure.
Yeah, we'll keep looking at it. I'll talk to Wade tomorrow, and we'll go back to the last kind of draft that we had, and the things that people didn't like about it.
Do you wanna set up a committee to get the ball rolling on that?
I guess we need to decide who's gonna be on that.
Well, that's what I'm like Ricky, I think it needs to be not just in-house people, I think we need citizens, we need architects, we need engineers.
The study will have a steering committee element, and we could, like I said, that's gonna turn a little bit slower, but, you know, we've been trying, this is not something new.
Well, maybe we can.
And I think that using that study would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I mean,
The
we
thing
can
is-
probably get the ball rolling a little bit before the
Yeah.
study comes out, 'cause I mean, frankly, it's probably gonna take.
We can do some preliminary
Just
work.
something together.
Yeah.
The thing is, we're gonna get bombarded with appeals, and appeals don't look good.
Right.
You know, it looks like it's singling out just individual people, and it's not. It's really across the board. I mean,
Well, it's a huge problem as it is, because there's not a building in the downtown entertainment district that I can think of that could be rebuilt under our new codes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you recall, that's why we had to do the UDC, because at least now parking is the main thing that stands in the way, but our previous code wouldn't have allowed the lot sizes or anything in the downtown area, so we've made progress. It's just getting our arms around the parking, because each property is so different, there's such a wide variety of what ifs. So it's kinda hard to create a bulletproof, one-size-fits-all ordinance.
I mean, I think the parking's
And
getting
that's what
better
we're doing.
downtown. I mean, I'm seeing more and more people parking towards the
Right.
Fowler Pleasant
I think
parking lot.
there's been more education about the existence of these perimeter parking lots, and that is one of the things that the wayfinding study, which is reaching its conclusion, has come up with a design for some of those wayfinding that you put on the perimeter and guide people to these parking lots. So we really think that education about the availability of parking was the first step, and I think that is going to have some impact. But it doesn't change what you're talking about as far as all properties not being created equal, and how do you allow consideration for special circumstances that would not be taken advantage of by other properties that could provide some parking. And so that's kind of the balance that we've been struggling with, but we did have a draft that went to planning commission. They asked us to postpone it until the study, but we can look at that, and maybe if we met with a couple of you all first and kind of went over it, then we could strategize on how to move forward within the study. So maybe in the next week or so, if there's.
I just like to get something rolling, because I don't like, I mean, I think the desire is to, you know, to do what we did, you know, regarding Murky Waters and other properties, but, you know, like as Ricky said, it doesn't look good doing it as appeals, because, you know, it's not about singling anybody out or anything, it's about just the general growing pains of the city.
Right. But we'd be happy to get, you know, for fresh eyes on it, so maybe if there was a couple of you that you want to assign, and we can sit down internally first, and then kind of determine the best strategy, how we could coordinate that with the study that's gonna be happening. It may be that we come up with some information to just give to the consultant, because it's not a huge amount.
Well, and I think the study is wonderful and great, and I think we need the steering committee, but we have been doing this for years,
Yes.
and I'm ready to see some results.
Sometimes I think that's the problem, we're so deep into it, it's hard to, you know, when I get somebody fresh to look at it, they see things that we don't. So, but we'd be more than happy for that reason to sit down with some of you all and kind of hash out what we've gone through and
Well,
what we've
how about we
sussed
do
out.
this, how about we plan, you know, to sit down, you know, three or so meetings, here in the boardroom with Aldermen, and kind of go over everything.
Kind of catch you up on the things that we've researched and looked at, and then we can go from there.
As long as it's less than 4.
As long as it's less than a quorum.
Steve, we're still meeting tomorrow morning, 10?
Yes, sir.
For tennis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then other than that, I just appreciate everything everybody did. I mean, for us I'm kind of glad that we filled the landfill up before everybody else started. But, you know, it looks good out there, and I tell you, I don't think you could ask for better.
I agree.
I appreciate it. That's it.
Okay. I need to see about getting some no dumping signs on Simon, you know, that ditch from Ogden down to that pump station, and then down the middle of Bechtel Boulevard. everybody's taking their junk and putting it in the middle of everywhere else instead of in front of their yard. And it's getting aggravated. I mean, some of those piles get high. Like right now, Simon, they're throwing couches out there. Right behind people that go out there and clean up their yards and clean their house. And now everybody's driving up the road dumping there. So if we could get some signs that says, even if it says a $500 fine or whatever we charge, it may help stop some of this. Okay. But they're doing it on Bechtel and Simon. And I'd like to make a motion to get the signs and put them, space them out, but.
No dumping signs on Bechtel.
Bechtel down the middle, they're using it as a dump.
The bad part is they dump in the median and people coming out from the road can't see traffic.
No, but it's
Don't you
still,
think
you
it's
don't
just
want all that
temporary?
trash.
Don't you think it's just temporary for storm cleanup though?
No, it's all the time. You go down Bechtel and there's people that take every limb they got and pile it as high as they can and throw couches in the middle. They don't care. I drive it every day. They use it constantly. It ain't from the storm.
I know on Simon it's temporary because I watch it all the time and during the storm.
Go talk to the guy at 408 Deals that keeps getting stuff thrown.
Well, I know, and it's happening right now.
Yeah, but it's all of it.
But not all of it.
Yeah.
Dump it everywhere.
Ask out.
Yeah, you know, the only thing is that you put those dumping signs over there and everybody else is gonna want them
Well,
on their streets.
it's gotta stop. I mean, you can't have this, they're trashing everything else. Bechtel's not.
What if we just do it temporary?
All right, we can do it temporary.
Till we
The
get
thing
cleaned
is,
up.
it needs to be done to get them to stop.
Some people
Because it's a
honor
mess.
it, some people don't.
Biggest place you need them is by the intersections.
Yeah, somewhere where they're gonna see that.
How many intersections is that though?
You gotta put a-
All right,
Joe, you wanna get with Alan tomorrow? and-
Yeah, I'll,
Yeah, let's put a fine on it because just no dumping sign.
yeah, put, say,
I don't know if I got,
cost.
I got something.
I got one that says the fine price on it, but I know it has no dumping signs.
All right, but yeah, I'll get with him and see about signs down these roads, because it's a mess. Even, Lloyd tells me, he's getting tired of seeing people pull out in front of him, dumping in there, and then they see him coming, and they haul up. Right, they're gone.
You know, Simon is 408, you said?
408 Bills, they're dumping behind his house all the time. He called me today, and I've seen it. They dump it in the ditch and clog the ditch up, top it off. And my next thing is another school zone on Holcomb. You know how right there at West Road, the sign's right there, that's the school. The sign needs to be moved back at least to those apartments on the other end. That's where all the kids walk. And the cars are not slowing down until they hit the fence. Nobody slows down actually. But if we could just move that back to make them start to slow down like we did on Go. You don't need it right there at the school. You need it further back.
Which school is this and where are you
On
trying
Holcomb.
to extend it to?
Probably Armont Place.
Armand Place would be, I've had that complaint too,
That's
Joe.
halfway down the
with
street.
all those
That's
kids.
a long ways
You
back.
still have to give them.
It needs to be there.
That's halfway down.
Where are you talking about?
Well, we unload those, I support what Joe is saying.
Chief, can you give us a recommendation on that?
First I've heard of it, I'd have to look at it.
Or Walmart Oaks?
Yes, about right there. See, right now,
Of course,
it's right here.
Does it stop, it stops right there at Westbrook, right?
Yeah, and no, that's where it starts.
Well,
That's the school right there, and it starts there. If you just move it back, make them slow down. I mean, it's not
To
hurting
include the
anybody.
rest of those apartments, I guess.
Yeah, that's the kids are good walking.
I would appreciate if we could go talk to some of the residents
What are we
first.
extending it to, the intersecting
Well,
road?
They're always turning down
all
calls.
I've already, what brought it up is, I've had a call from an individual, and I passed it on to Joey too, that was complaining about the speeders.
They fly.
He was asking, he was asking, he didn't say where. And I think Armand would be reaching.
What does it hurt
It's only
for
a
you to
block.
take another couple of minutes to go that block?
It's a block.
Doing a 15 instead of being right at the school itself, and then start to slow down, when you're not even slowing down until you get halfway.
Well, we gotta think of the safety of the kids. That's what I'm
That's all.
thinking.
I always turn down Ogden, so it won't affect me.
Yeah.
Can I make that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion
Put
to,
that sign in Alicia's front yard.
Well, it's got to be an ordinance change, Nicole.
yeah, it's for her to make an ordinance.
Well,
We
or,
did it before.
or would it be, instead of changing the ordinance, would it solve the same thing, just
What's the
slow
cost?
schools ahead, give them the
What's
warning.
what's the cost of moving that sign? Because, I mean, you gotta move electric and all
I
kinds of
think
stuff.
we did it already on Gurney.
What's the cost of doing
I don't know if
that?
that one has electric flashing lights on, I think it just has
Yeah.
a school zone sign, I have to look at it and see.
But they can put it by whatever power pole there, I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal, but that's a long ways back, guys.
Right there, still getting some more rocks over there.
I make the motion.
I second the motion.
All right, so, what's your vote?
Hold on, so next street, just a second.
To have no Nicole.
Why don't you just go back to
No, there's not a
First
light.
Street?
Oh, yeah, there is a light.
That's odd.
There is a light on.
Yeah, why don't you go back to Ogden and have it there?
That's not covering where the kids are going. They're going towards those apartments.
They can't walk on the sidewalk, go further up.
Do we need a motion for you to prepare that ordinance, or can you?
I'm still trying to figure out where we're doing it, but
You know where
You got
Westgate
your map,
Apartments
you got
are?
your maps up?
I have my map.
South of the,
Move it
South
south.
Elementary?
This intersection makes it cool.
Sometimes there's one there,
Please,
sometimes
Ogden
No, no, can't go all around, there's, that's a.
you're already at the.
See, do you need?
No, I'll bring it to the next meeting with the proposed ordinance change.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Nicole will prepare that ordinance and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. All right.
Was that a motion?
No.
Don't need a motion.
All right, Mr. Cox.
Yeah. I wanna put a school zone in front of the
Where?
Turn this back on.
I would like to, I don't know if everybody's had the opportunity to meet Miss Kate Holder. She's our new Mary C. Arts and Cultural Coordinator. She has come on board and really hit the ground running. And Kate, I really appreciate what you've been doing. You've really dug in and
Excellent job.
and making a lot of headway. So, she has had several meetings with our committee and with Stephen, and one of her requests is she would like to, put in a technical consultant, position, which to me, I think is very much needed. And it's not a full-time position, it'd be a 10-hour-a-week position. And, it would oversee the technical support that she needs to have in the building. And so, I'd like to open it up for discussion, but my thoughts are, I'd like to see us move forward with hiring this position.
Yeah, I sent it out to the HR committee today, Joey, Ken, and Mike to look at.
I think that would be $7,800 a year, is that right, Kate? $150 a week, 52?
Yeah, that's what we were looking at, yeah.
Okay. My concern was, did we need $7,800 in the first year? How many events are gonna happen over there? I mean, I'm not saying you don't, because I realize it's been torn, you know, it's gotta be rebuilt. Is that something that could be the first 6 months? And, I mean, that'd be my only thing.
Personally, I think you're gonna.
Hey, can you
Yeah.
come to the podium and
Yeah,
explain the need for the?
I think you're gonna need every bit of that.
Yeah, it's on.
We can-
Okay, so any operational theater from a small community theater to Madison Square Garden has a technical aspect to it, okay? What I have done, like with my job position, y'all have hired me as what we call front of house, FOH, which oversees things like box office, flow, all administrative capacity. But whenever you get to the actual theater itself, y'all have a dead home system back there, which is already in and of itself kind of challenging to operate. So what you need as far as maintenance is concerned is a minimum of something like this, 10 hours a week. This is not even really events-based work. We have a program in place with the theater management group to add on some payment external of the city, that any technical hires that are brought on will be compensated in that fashion, like through that external venue management group. But this is strictly for like upkeep of the stage, auditorium maintenance, checking the equipment that needs to be tested on a regular basis, because if we bring in a group and they have a tech writer, we've got to be able to say, yes, we can provide, no, we can't provide, yes, we can, no, we can't. And I can't do that because that's not in my wheelhouse. That wasn't what y'all hired me for. I have to have someone that I can work with in pre-production meetings for our renters to be able to give them guidance on what we can and cannot do once we get all of that equipment back. As to your question about how many events we're going to have, again, this is not necessarily events-based work that is in this technical consultant duties. This is strictly maintenance on the interior of the theater, and frankly, guys, y'all need a lot of it. So that's sort of my pitch for why I think that this is necessary. I think I've heard some, hopes that this is going to be kind of soft open in January for us slowly bringing some people in. I think that's optimistic currently where we are. But I want to do everything in my power to get us there. And I think one of the things that I need is this position to do so. But if y'all have any questions, please feel free. I'd love to explain.
Would that help eliminate some of the phone calls to Public Works?
No.
We'll see.
I just don't see how we can spend any more money if we're not making any money. I mean, we losing 2 police officers this week. Every city on this coast is up in their police officer pay, and we're coming up with positions for a theater.
If we're gonna have a theater, we're gonna have to have a.
But it's not making any money. I mean, how much are we
It's
gonna
not gonna,
how much
if
are
you
we
don't
gonna
have to fill the
spend?
position.
It's not gonna make, I mean, it's not making money at the moment.
Well, Highway 57 doesn't make money. We're not going to make money. This is services that you guys are offering to the public. This is what we came up with. We have the Mary C. We have the tennis courts. They don't make money. We have Highway 57. It doesn't make money.
Civic Center don't make money.
Well, I'm just saying that this is a service. And we have brought this young lady on board. And
Well, I feel
I
like,
think
you
that
know-
after a year, she might not have as much need, but I think she's saying right now, we're in the ditch and we need to be pulled out.
There's a lot of investment that needs to be made on the front end of this. And COVID isn't going to help as far as bringing too many people in. I would love to implement a COVID program that we could get, people still in there within, because I think I can do that within capacity. I came from a theater that was still having things going on. It's just a matter of, and I expressed this when I came into my interviews. I said there is initial investment that needs to be made in this property. There is initial staff investment, frankly, that I said needed to be made in this property for this to happen. And I just ask y'all to take that into consideration.
I mean, to me, it's,
So we're just gonna open the checkbook to the Mary C.
There will be nothing done through the Mary C that all 7 of you don't have knowledge of. I've been very clear
It
about that,
doesn't matter if all
you
7
know.
of us know, I mean, we're still spending money.
I understand that, but are we gonna have a theater? Right now, it's been torn completely apart. That's just the way it
There's
is.
been a lot more damage done.
It's
than
been a lot of stuff
everybody
happened over there, it's gotta be put back together,
Yeah,
or we don't have a
somebody
theater.
knows how to
That's
do
up to
that.
y'all, I mean.
Well, listen, we put, we in this thing for the good, and I think we're gonna do it right. And I like the idea. I know if you need some help over there, I can imagine,
I think it is in the best interest of the city, frankly, and the taxpayers, that y'all have someone who is accountable to y'all whenever we make purchases, because frankly, technical purchases for a theater to equip it appropriately are large investments. And you need someone who's gonna be able to stand up here and say, we got this projector because X, Y, Z. I'm not the person to be able to price out these large, investments for you guys. A technical consultant is. And you can have confidence and accountability from that person when they are under sort of my purview, AKA your purview.
Mayor, may I say something? Take 1 second.
Go ahead, Steve.
In my budget, we used to have 5 custodians. The 5th custodian we split in half for 2 activities, activities person on the weekends that are not being used because our rentals are down. If that money could somehow be used, that way we're not coming out of extra money, that little bit of money could be redone, if that's possible.
You just told us tonight you were short, you wanted to close bathrooms early because you were.
No, that was just
you were
strictly out of
custodians.
savings, strictly out of savings.
Well, and based on what we're currently at.
I'm sorry, you misunderstood me, I'm just trying to.
I misunderstand, I mean, I listened to what you said.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate, Kay, what you've done, and you're getting us going in the right direction. And I really feel like this technical consultant is a small position that we need to fill and keep you going in that direction.
I think maybe what we should do is go ahead and agree to the 10 hours a week or whatever you guys are looking at. Let's look at it for 6 months, and then it might not be as big a need. Maybe we don't have to commit to that for a whole year. This gentleman worked over there before that you guys are looking at. He must have volunteered some. I'm not sure what the Friends paid the guy. I'm just saying that we don't know how long it'll take to get it back up. We don't know how many events. Once it's back up and running, then she could maybe address that she needs him 6 hours a month to look at stuff, and then we need him for events. I'm not sure how that worked before.
We're gonna need to get this position in. I've got buy-in and multiple groups around the whole coast. I've got the Gulf Coast Business Council. I've got the Jackson County Economic Development Foundation. I've got Coastal Mississippi. I've got a lot of different organizations who are excited about what we're doing at the Mary C, and this is a very important part of actually bringing all that to life.
I think Bobby, I think Ricky's just concerned too. What kind of investment are we gonna have in on the front end? We always knew it was gonna take something to get it set up. And so, I don't know if any of these buy-ins are money or just people that's interested, so I don't really know what's going on with that.
I'll be quite honest with you. I did not realize it was gonna be as much of a buy-in, because I didn't realize there'd be so much taken from the Mary C.
That's true.
So basically, we're starting from scratch. There's no kitchen equipment. There's no theater equipment. Now we find out the fire alarm system has just been destroyed. So, you know, they did not leave us anything to build back with. Cade has stepped in and really has done a fantastic job. I want to make a motion, we hire this person at the 10 hours a week.
What?
And,
I have visited with Kate. I think she's very qualified. You're welcome.
I'll second
All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Gill.
Is this to advertise for the position or not?
yes, to allow Kate to go out and fill this position.
All right, further discussion?
I would just like to see a plan that shows exactly what our plan is in the Mary C.
I would love to have a plan as soon as I can give y'all a plan as soon as I understand my fiscal year budget for 21.
Also, does he need to be contract, can he be contract labor? Does he have to be an employee? Do you know about that, Kate?
I think it's whatever.
Whoever I get there, again, we can look at multiple people. I need someone on site for 2 hours a day so that he can walk through with me and say, we need to discuss this, we need to discuss our 19 fire smoke alarms that are out in the back of the Mary C. We need to discuss the paint that's in the back of the Mary C that we have to get moved. We need to discuss operations as far as storage of equipment. If we're not getting the equipment back, we have to move forward with a deal to create an inventory list of what you guys need. We can't have rentals until we have an inventory list, and we can't have an inventory list until we get the stuff back on our property, or we start buying a lot of stuff.
And if I could just add, if there was an inventory list or some sort of list made by somebody who knows exactly what they're asking for, I don't know what funding is available, but I can't even begin to look for available funding until I know what is needed. And until she gets somebody to say specifically what's needed, a fresh look at it based on what's missing, he might come up with a better plan, because I can tell you from experience, all that equipment was pieced and parsed and mismatched and not thought through. So if y'all can get somebody to come up with a better plan.
And we're getting closer as it relates to what equipment that we're making the deal with the MOU with the Friends of Mary C. We're getting closer to understanding what exactly we have and what we won't have back. So, I mean, give me another week and we should have that information. I'll have that information for you at least by the first December meeting. So we're close to understanding, what equipment we're gonna have and what we're not gonna have from what we had before.
My only concern is if it was piecemealed before, some of the people we're talking to now were the people that was piecemealing it before.
No, but it wasn't by design, it was by somebody donated a piece of equipment. And the person that asked for it or said that that was a good piece of equipment didn't ask the person who really knew.
That's really all irrelevant at this point,
Yeah.
because
That's,
The stuff is ours, we want it back, we're gonna get it back and see what we need to do to make it complete and compliant from there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I made the motion.
All right.
Second.
Yeah, second, Mayor.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's all.
All right, Mr. Kim.
Stop sign, I want to discuss the stop sign, at Saiwan and La Branch. We have a stop sign that stops traffic on Saiwan. Now, La Branch, folks go through it, and we've got a drainage dip, for lack of better words, and folks, I drive a Ford F-150 big truck, and I have to slow down and basically stop in there to get through the dip. It's creating some problems, so I propose, and I would like to see a stop signs also placed on La Branch, making that a four-way stop. And I think it's another safety issue too, with some of the speeders that go through there. So, that's what I want to discuss. I don't know, Chief, if I requested, do you need to look at this before we go forward?
No, sir, actually, you just have to amend the ordinance.
It's the same as the school zone, so I'll just have to look into it and bring you a proposed ordinance
Yeah.
revision for next
If you'll do that,
meeting.
if you'll do that, please.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
I just think everybody needs to move to Ward 5, because I don't have anything.
Now that we're getting this other project taken care of.
All I gotta do is get speeders taken care of for Mr. James and us out. That's the biggest problem we got, so we'll deal with that.
It's far too dangerous for my officers to be in that curve.
You right.
All right, Randy.
I've got nothing. I just want to thank all of our personnel again, Public Works, Parks and Rec, our City Hall personnel. Patty, the daily reports have been fantastic. I know we didn't have as much damage as other cities, but I want to turn on the news and see that they're finally kicking off their debris removal and we're nearing completion. I really appreciate the job they've done. And keep up the good work, guys.
I did on that.
Absolutely. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Executive session.
Unless we got any executive session, I have none.
No. Make a motion, we adjourn, man.
Mr. Gill, second Mr. Bellman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.